Hello, welcome to the KaroKirsch podcast. My name is Karo, and this is a podcast where I talk about a lot of knitting, some sewing, some crochet, and some art sometimes. And I'm super excited to be back so soon. Because I had a baby recently, and he's happily snoring at my chest. So I hope you can't hear. If you do, I'm sorry, but this seems to be the only way I can record this. Welcome. And a special warm welcome to all the new subscribers. I do want to take a moment to note on that because as I was going in my maternity leave, so to speak, my channel really had a little bit of an influx of people. I mean, it's small in the world of YouTube or YouTubers, but it's pretty big in my little world. So I was super excited to see that. And yes, I want to give all the new subscribers and viewers a very warm welcome. I'm very, very happy to have everybody here, and I hope you enjoy what you're seeing and decide to stay. And yes, I have a packed episode. I was trying to record already like 2 weeks ago, but realized I think we need to do the baby in the carrier thing because otherwise I get interrupted like a million times. I have quite a bit of knitting, and I have some sewing, and I have some English paper piecing I would like to share with you guys. So if you're into that, then please stay, and let's get into the episode. So the finished objects. I do have, how many finished objects do I have? I think technically 4 or 5. I don't know how to count my Indian night blanket squares. Quite a few of them are pre-baby, because last episode I was quite scared I would give birth basically that day. But he ended up being right on time. I think he was like 2 days past the due date, and for whatever reason, I thought he would be early, which is why I was so nervous, but he wasn't. So I still had like 2 weeks or something of just me time because my daughter was with my mom. So that was nice, and I got quite a little bit of knitting done. But the first thing I would like to share with you guys is this pair of shoes. This is actually my very first felted project. So I knit these. I think I've shown you one that was done in the knit stage, and I finished the second one. It's a super quick knit, and then I felted them, and they are super cute. So the pattern is Doublet Höfler by Sandnes Garn, which is technically a free pattern, but I took it from the Knitting Traditions podcast. She talks about the pattern and like repeats it basically in one of her episodes. And I adapted the toe because this is a slightly pointy toe with a pattern that I'm now blanking on again. I'll put it in again. Was a free pattern, which also is for felted shoes, where I kind of just adapted this pointy toe detail, which I really like. They don't fit though. So they were intended for my daughter, who has shoe size 25, if any of you knows what that means. It's a European shoe size. And this is probably shoe size 17 or something. I don't know, I'm just guessing right now. I left it in the washing machine for too long. Which would be unfortunate, but it's kind of doesn't matter because I have a second one who is eventually going to be growing into these. So those will just be for him. My son's called Yona, by the way, so let's refer to him with his name. And I guess I'll have to make a new pair for Lana, who's my daughter. Yes, but those are done and I still am very happy with them, even though they turned out smaller than intended. The second finished object, which is also still pre-baby, is a hat that I knit for my sister as a birthday present. And it's the... Oh, hang on. I forgot to tell you guys the yarn. Yeah, the yarn. I knit these with Drops Nepal. And I did say in the last episode that this is 100% wool, but it's actually a mix or blend with alpaca. Not sure about the percentage, maybe like 20-30% alpaca. But yeah, just wanted to correct that. But yeah, back to this hat. So this hat is the Puffrippenmütze by Micha Made, who is a German designer, I'm assuming by the Germanness of the pattern. But yeah, it's a really cool pattern. It's like this 3-dimensional. It's like really coming out. Like the pattern Puffrippenmütze means basically puff rib hat. So it's really coming out. It's very thick, and you create this by knitting these 2 stitches like 4 rows down, and then you pull the yarn up. It's a really cool technique, and I really like the look of it. We'll see. I'll ask my sister if it's also warm. It seems that way because it's, yeah, so 3-dimensional. And I bought a little pom-pom for it, and I added my tag. So it looks pretty professional, I find. But yeah, that was a very quick knit, especially when I had virtually nothing else to do. I mean, being pregnant, you're basically towards the end anyways, sitting around doing nothing, because everything just hurts, especially at like 30 something degrees as it was, and swollen feet. So yeah, I think I knit this in 2 days, but I virtually didn't do anything else. The yarn I used for this is Lana Grossa Cool Wool Melange in the colorway, I think it's just a code 490, which is like a navy blue. Is it navy? Yeah, no, it's navy. So that was Stash Yarn, very happy. And yeah, I'm gonna send this off to her together with the next finished object that is post baby. I'm very proud of that, especially considering what this item is. It's a pair of socks. So I knit a pair of socks, which are sisters, not twins, for my nephew. I always have to think about that relation. Like, I don't know why I have such a hard time knowing that the nephew is the son of my sister. Anyways, so he wished for a pair of socks for his birthday, which also was like my sister's birthday was just before my son was born, and his birthday, my nephew's birthday, was just after. So yeah, I'm very glad to have gotten these done. It's just a vanilla pair. One thing I did is doing, or let's start at the cuff. Is it the cuff? Yeah. It's a twisted rib, which I just like the look of. I use the Eye of the Partridge heel, I believe this is called. It's definitely a heel flap and gusset construction. And yeah, and at the sole of the foot, I did a 1x1 rib because he has very long and narrow feet. And that way I figured it'll adjust to his foot a little bit more. I didn't want it to be too wide and floppy, maybe. It's kind of hard knitting for someone way and try on the socks. Let's hope they fit. But yeah, I knit this with some leftover yarn that I still had, which is Schoppel Zauberball. It's these, yeah, they kind of have this handspun look to them, and I think the colorway is called Pause in Blau, which is break in blue or blue break, however you want to translate this. And yes, I really like this colorway. And yes, nothing more to say with this. So this can go in a package now to my sister and him so they can have both their birthday presents. Yes. The next finished object, if you want to call it that, is a couple more squares of my Indian Nights blanket by Janice Hope, which I call the Polar Nights blanket because I decided to redesign most of the squares that go in this blanket. So the first one I did was the last design that is part of the center panel. I can step back a little bit and you can see the full square. And this is the float plane. So I'm really happy how this one came out. I think the contrast works very well. I'm not sure if it's extremely recognizable for someone who is not familiar with float planes, but I like it, and I see the float plane, and my husband sees the float plane, who also has traveled with him quite a few times. So yeah, this one is done. And I really like the color combination. I really like that yellow with those blues. I think I'm very happy with that yellow. Still hoping my gamble with just one yarn ball of that color is going to pay off, but we'll see. But then by the time I finished this, or maybe during, I was editing the last episode. And the cool thing about the podcast, I find, or at least one side effect I get, is during the editing, you obviously hear yourself talk about these projects and you kind of revisit what you've said with a little bit of distance. And one thing I said last time when I was talking about this square here, which is now nice and blocked, so I might as well show you again, is we're not going for realism here, which I was talking about the green color I substituted here. And then I was like, yeah, we're not going for realism here because I'm kind of rethinking the color choice here for two reasons. A, the contrast really isn't that great, which wouldn't be that big of a deal for me. But the other thing is I don't think I like that green with the rest of the blanket because this is virtually the only, I mean, there's two squares of these, but still, this is the only place where this green pops up, and there is no other green in the whole blanket. There's only blue, red, and yellow. And then I was like, why don't I just take out this green and go with the blue as a Northern Lights? Because I stuck to the green because Northern Lights are green. They are green, they're in rare occasions red, and I think yellow, I'm not even sure, but there's just no blue. There's just no blue Northern Lights, which is why I stuck to these have to be green to be recognizable, but I don't think so. I was watching Frozen with my daughter the other day, and they have blue Northern Lights, and it's totally recognizable. So I think maybe I'm going to reknit this using this color, which I have in here, which is called Treasure. Which is kind of a blue-green anyways. It's like a turquoise, and I think that would be much nicer as a Northern Lights contrast, and I think it would still be recognizable. But before I do that, because I don't hate it, I'm just doubtful. I'm just not sure. I want to wait before I start reknitting these. I want to see more of the blanket and more of the colors, hence. Which is why I decided, because so far I've knit on the center spine of the blanket, the 5 squares that go in the middle, because from those I want to start knitting outwards that huge long zigzag panel with the polar bears. I'll have a thing up here where you can see what I'm talking about. But you can also just knit the other squares that are on the other side of that zigzag panel, and then knit inward. And that's what I'm going to do, just to not have to decide on the color here, because once it's on that huge zigzag panel, I'm definitely not going to rip it out to redo the color. So yeah, I started knitting on the side square panel, not panel, spine, I don't know what you call this. And I started the loon. And the square is also done, which is really nice. This square appears 4 times all together. I really love this, and I also think it's very recognizable. So I think this one works perfectly, and I'm very proud of it. And I finished one and I started on the next one, which I'm going to show you now. And that makes us go into the works in progress. So let me just quickly show you my progress on the second one. That is also pre-baby, by the way. And this is how far I've gotten on the second one. So not very far, it's just the center little red square here that I finished. So the next will be the blue colors that come in. But I haven't touched this since my son came, because yeah, needless to say, this is quite fiddly, and I just haven't had the headspace or the time really to think about that. I am thinking about this. I want to get back into this, and I think we're slowly heading into an era, a baby era, which are very short because everything changes so quickly. But it feels like there is a bit more breathing time, so I might have enough headspace to get back into a project like this. But I have been knitting on a bit more easy projects, like the socks, for instance. That are just, easy. They're nice and small, and you can quickly put them down and stuff. You know, all the things you need to have when you're dealing with a baby. Yes, so that's that. Not a whole lot of progress on that square, but I mean, I got 2 more done. So that is some nice progress on the blanket. And my next work in progress, maybe I'll show you this one that you've already seen. That has not gotten, it's gotten progress since I've last shown you, because that was the only project I still had that I could knit on. But yeah, I'm not sure. I lost my steam on this project. Anyways, long talk, no sense. That's a German saying. I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense in English. I'm talking about the Cumulus Tea by Petite Knit, or Petite Knits, I'm not sure actually, which is a very, very basic t-shirt with a raglan construction and a V-neck, which is very wide and open. I knit 1 size up for what I would usually knit for me, since I was kind of thinking, back then I was still pregnant. Obviously I gained a bit of weight, and with breastfeeding you kind of need t-shirts that you can open up, for feeding. And so I figured that might be quite nice with something underneath, kind of for now, technically, was what I was thinking. Maybe I'll get it done. Anyways, so I did make quite a bit of progress on the body. I think last time I basically just started in the round. Maybe I knit 5 centimeters or something. So I made quite a bit of progress on the body. I did try it on at this stage and decided I want probably like 5 to 10 centimeters more on this in length, and then it's basically done, because I don't want to make the arms much longer, maybe another inch. Totally swapping around inch and centimeters, but oh well. Anyways, but yeah, I really like this because it uses my hand-dyed Pima cotton yarn that I dyed with indigo, and I just love this. It's a solid color, but at the same time there's so much life in it because it's hand-dyed. I just really, really like this. And I don't know why I'm not knitting on it. I just lost steam on it, but I really like the project, and I think it will be nice still, even though it's cooled down considerably. But you can always throw something over. I still think it'll be very nice for breastfeeding. So I really should get back into this. Maybe I will. Maybe this podcast will make me go back to it. Okay, I threw the bag on the floor. Now I have to throw the project after. Because bending down with baby is a little hard. But he's doing good, isn't he? Okay, so next in line, next work in progress is actually the last work in progress. And it's a very small one, but I still had something of that silver ball left, which I rewound in a cake because it was getting a little awkward to wind off. So I cast on another pair of socks for my daughter, because my last attempt, which actually was also with a Zauberball colorway, that blue yellow one, Sanduhr it was called, but those ended up being too small. So I really hope these aren't going to be too small. I'm actually at a point where I really want to try it on her before I start with the toe decreases, but I think I'll have to start with the toe decreases now. And I really hope that this will be enough for the second one. I'll weigh this and see. Probably, I think so, but wish me luck. But that would be good, because I started this Zauberball with a pair of socks for my mom, actually, where I alternated two colors, so I didn't just use this colorway for my mom's socks. Then I knit the pair of socks for my nephew, and now a pair of socks for my daughter, all with one ball of yarn. That would be pretty cool, I think. I like using up yarn, and yeah, I'm using a lot of stash yarn, as you might be able to tell. Like, this was stash yarn, the hat was stash yarn, the socks are stash yarn, obviously the Holst Supersoft. I didn't mention that. I don't know why I never mentioned this, but I'm knitting the whole blanket with Holst Supersoft, which that's actually the video that kind of took off on YouTube, is where I presented that haul, where I got all my Holst Supersoft, which you can see the cones back here. Yes. Oh no, it wasn't the last work in progress. I kind of skipped over this one. I actually only cast this one on yesterday. And that is another hat for my daughter. Hang on. I'm attached to the yarn balls. Okay. And this is the garter snake hat by Lavagna Patriciella. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I think it's Spanish, might be Spanish. But yeah, this is a brioche hat that will also include, but you can barely see that, some garter. So that just starts now. I might pop in a pattern picture so you know how the hat will look like once it's done. But basically this garter will become longer and the brioche will become smaller, so this becomes like a triangle and the rest of the hat will be this garter. So far it's fun, nothing much to say. I did one change. I did the tubular cast on, even though I don't think, I kind of regretted that in afterwards, because I don't think it's the most tight. It's a very stretchy cast on, which usually is nice, but with a hat you kind of want it to actually stick to your head. So I might have to put in some elastic or something towards the end. I don't know. I haven't even tried it on her. It looks fairly big. Let's hope it fits her. Otherwise I'll work with elastic or sew something inside so it'll fit her head. This winter, that would be nice. She chose the colors, actually. She really likes blue, but she also liked this coral, which is perfect. The coral is some of my Holst Supersoft, and this is one of the colors I kicked out of my Polar Nights blanket. So I have two balls of this. I mean, this will barely eat into this ball. I really have to think about something I want to make with this yarn, but I was happy to use it. And now I attached myself. Hang on. And the second color I'm using is a leftover of my Quickstrick, which is an Advent colorway. I think this is her high twist sock merino. And yeah, I use this in my half and half wrap and still have something left. Again, the hat won't really make a dent into this, but those colors really work nicely together, and I really didn't want to buy any new yarn unless it's necessary. But yeah, this is now all my knitting. I'm sorry, I keep looking down here because I have all my stuff arranged, and I keep checking if there's something left. But yeah, I did some sewing also in that pre-baby period where I had all the time in the world to myself. And I actually finished 2 project bags. One, I can show you, is my English paper piecing project bag. So technically this is English paper piecing as well, because I think when I talked to you last, I only had parts of one of these sides done of the English paper piecing. But since then, I also finished the second block. And I also put it in a project bag. So this is my project bag, the goal I had. I'm very happy with this. I did a little bit of a boo-boo, but it's not very easy to tell. I didn't quite align these. Oh well, but I'm not the best sewist. But yeah, it's really cool. I did this with an old pair of jeans. And what lining did I put in? Oh yeah, I put this fabric as a lining, which also is part of the English paper piecing together with my tag. And yeah, I keep my Polar Nights blanket squares in here. So that's the one bag. The other bag I don't have to show you because that was a gift for my mom. Again, as I said in my last episode, she really desperately needs some more project bags, and I'll insert a picture. So I did another English, I didn't do that with English paper piecing. That is the quilt. I kind of did quilting with a sewing machine. So I just had squares with like cool different fabrics. I did cave and buy one of those jelly rolls, they're called. But that one didn't have the expensive shipping, so that was okay. I only paid for the jelly roll, and I think it was actually free shipping. So, yeah, that's what those fabrics are. I think I put in the fabric, the jelly roll I used in case somebody really likes the color combination too. I really like this blue-yellow combo. And yeah, I also made with some pair of jeans a project bag for my mom, who funnily started a project that totally goes with a color combination. I think in one of the pictures you can see that she's using like gray and the mustard yellow for a colorwork sweater she's working on currently. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. But yeah, so those 2 bags came to be, and I'm really happy with that. And I also started some more English paper piecing, but this is all pre-baby and I haven't touched it since he's been born. So we'll see if I get back into it. But yeah, because I still have some of that jelly roll fabric. I have a lot of it because you don't really use that much making these things. And this is supposed to become a new Notions pouch, because I don't have it here to show you. I only have this black ugly pouch that is just the perfect size, so I use it. But yeah, I would really like to have a little one, and I wanted to do another English paper project, and I was thinking what else is small, what I could use, and yeah, so I want to make a box pouch. Yes, so that's what this is for. And so far, so good. But again, I don't know when I'll get back into working this, because knitting is just so much more easy, and like having the sharp needle around with a baby close by, I don't feel too good about that, I guess. So we'll see when I get back into English paper piecing. But this is what I've done so far, so I figured I show you. So the next segment might be acquisitions, because I am waiting for a shipment from JCRennie. I did order quite a lot because it's a Scottish yarn mill, and since they aren't in the EU anymore, I don't know if that's the reason, but the shipping is just a lot. So to make the shipping worthwhile, because the shipping was basically the value of one of the cones that I ordered, I did order quite a few cones. Okay, next day, and I've had quite the morning. I don't know. So far, our mornings have been fairly good. I had plenty of time to get both kids ready and get my daughter to daycare. But today, everything just came together. We were late. I was looking for my keys. Yona was crying because he was hungry. Lana was crying because I was flustered. And then the postman came in the middle of all this and delivered my yarn. So here I am and can show you my acquisitions. I did find my key, thankfully. We were a bit late though for kindergarten, but I did not get a rebuke at the door, so that's good. But yeah, let's go back to the yarn. So as I've mentioned, I placed an order with JCRennie, a Scottish yarn mill, to buy some yarn for that cardigan I'm planning on knitting for my husband. It's an Aran weight cabled cardigan out of the Japanese pattern book Aran and Gansey. So we'll see how that one goes, but I have the yarn now, so I can start swatching, which is what I'm going to do like immediately after I'm done filming this. Although I should probably get into editing this while he's asleep, because he's like fully out. I can probably put him down, but anyways, we're doing this now, so I just keep going. But let's have a look at this yarn. So I ordered the Chunky, or Freedom Chunky, I think it's called. So it's an undyed colorway, and this is a mix. It's a 2-ply with 2 sheep breed colors, I guess. There's like a beige one and a more golden one, so that makes this nice and mild looking yarn. And I hope it won't be too busy for the cables, but I guess we'll see. We did go for the less mild option. There was another color that my husband really liked, but I was like, I think that's going to be too mild for cables, and we want that work to actually show. So I ordered 850 grams, but then I was like, maybe that's not enough, because the pattern actually calls for around 800 grams, and I already know that I need to make it bigger for my husband. So I ordered an additional 500 grams just to be safe, but I'll probably have enough to make something else out of this as well. But this is why I placed the order, and yeah, pretty much what we expected. So I'm very curious to see. It smells wonderfully sheepy, like super strong, but I'm happy about that because I've heard that these smell like spinning oils. Like the spinning oil is still in here, so you can kind of feel it's quite greasy. You could see it in the box too. There was like a print of the cones on the box. Or it just looks like an oily print. So I'll definitely have to wash this really well after I'm done knitting with this. But it doesn't smell too bad, so that's good. But yeah, so it'll probably also fluff up quite a bit. Anyways, swatching is in need. But again, the shipping was quite expensive. It was basically the same price as one of those cones. So I wanted to make the order worthwhile. So I looked around and looked at all the other yarns they had. And they have this Chunky, which is an Aran weight. And they also have the standard Supersoft, which is a fingering weight yarn. And that's obviously something I knit way more with. So I ordered 4 more colorways, and one in the Supersoft cashmere. So there's also some cashmere in here. This is the colorway Oyster, which is a really nice warm gray color. And yeah, I really wanted some neutrals because I have a lot of blue garments now. And I feel like something a bit more neutral will be nice, A, to combine with blue, or just to not only wear blue things. So I think this will definitely become 1 or maybe 2 sweaters, fairly simple ones, just as a basic garment in my wardrobe that I can combine with lots of things. I have nothing specific in mind yet, but yeah, that's kind of what I thought I want this colorway for. Same idea with this colorway, which is called Putty, which is just a very light beige. This is the Supersoft colorway, although it feels as soft as the cashmere one. So we'll see. It says Supersoft. I ordered Supersoft, but it really, really feels very, very similar to the cashmere one. We'll see once I get the garment done or 2 garments done and compare. I don't know. It feels exactly the same, but different colorway. Again, 850 gram, and same idea here, just a neutral basic garment is going to happen with this one day. And next up, yeah, this feels a little bit more rough than this. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe this one is with cashmere, who knows? But yeah, I ordered this, and this is in the Supersoft again in the Storm colorway. This ended up being a little bit more teal than I was hoping for, but I still like it a lot. It's actually showing up less green in the screen. That might just be the general issue with this color. Those always don't show up the green. They always seem bluer on camera. But I guess that's why you should order these color swatches. But I'm always too cheap for that. But yeah, so I'll definitely use this. I really like this color, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not quite the color that I thought it would be. So this is Storm, 850 gram. And the last one I ordered, and I really love this, is Loden. This shows up brighter in camera than in real life. This is a bit darker. And it's just a nice olivey forest green. Loden, yeah, makes sense. Very fitting, that name, again in the Supersoft base. And I ordered 850 gram, but for whatever reason, there is another 500 gram cone in the shipping. I think this is even close to 600 grams. So I'm not sure if I was confused or they were confused. They have to check my order again, but I'm pretty sure I only ordered 850 gram cones, apart from the one extra in the Chunky Freedom. But yeah, if there's just a mistake on their end, then this is basically my shipping reimbursed, because as I said, the shipping is the same price as one of these. So that's pretty awesome. Then I basically only pay taxes on it, which obviously also came additionally, which was again another cone. Yay. So fun. Oh man, I really want the UK not to be away from the EU, but oh well. Oh well, nothing I can do about that. So yeah, that's all the yarn that just came in. It all smells nice and sheepy, and I'm extremely excited to start knitting with this. I'll start with that cardigan, and I guess in the back of my mind, I'll be thinking about patterns I could do with those neutrals. I'm definitely excited to get into those neutral colorways and make just some nice basic sweaters. And yeah, I'm very curious to see how they wear and how they hold up, if I like it as much as the Holst Supersoft. They do feel softer than the Holst Supersoft. Just first impression on the cone. I have those here. Yeah, they feel much softer than these. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be even less scratchy, which would obviously be nice because then I can also knit some tighter fitting sweaters. And there's gonna be a lot of sweaters coming out of that because what else can you do with 850 grams? But yeah, so I already filmed the outro yesterday, so I'll probably just cut back to that footage and leave the acquisitions here. So this concludes the episode. Thank you so much for tuning back in. I really hope that I can continue doing this podcast on a more or less regular schedule. I mean, it will be a little bit on and off with A, how much knitting I can get done, and B, how able I am to actually record this. But yeah, I'm having fun with this. Obviously, it was a huge motivator to see the channel grow just a little bit. That made me very happy and actually getting some comments. So please comment below if you feel so inclined. I'm very happy to reply and hear from you guys. And yeah, hope we can maybe build a little bit of a community here. That would be so nice because yeah, I don't really have anyone around me who's as into knitting as I am, other than my mom maybe. So yeah, it would be nice to make some connections and share all the knitting fun. So yes, let's stop this. I think this was a very rambly episode. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit in a mom brain right now, but it just is what it is. Sleep is not the best with a newborn around. There's just no going around that, I think. But we actually get to sleep, so that's good. Don't feel too bad for me. I think I actually am very lucky with the baby we have. I think there's some other poor parents who have to run around hours and hours on end at night trying to calm down their baby. We don't have to do that. My husband sleeps through the whole night. That should tell you something. Like, I only get woken up a few times because he's hungry and he falls right back asleep. So, not complaining here. But it's still not a full night's sleep because, yeah, you do wake up a couple of times and are awake for a little bit. Anyways, so I didn't really mean to ramble about baby problems. I mean, that's not why you're here. But we are very well here. So I'm very happy to be back at doing this. And now let's stop rambling and wrap this up. And I hope I see you back soon. Bye bye.